Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to share some tips with you on how I style my bookshelves. And also in today's video, you're going to get a sneak peek at exactly how this wall in our living room has turned out. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll leave that linked for you guys. You would already know how this turned out. I also have like a little highlights reel that kind of shows you some of the behind the scenes of doing this bookshelf. But I will have a video for you coming out kind of going over that as well. But when we walked through the model home, I knew exactly what I wanted this wall to look like, which also meant I knew I was going to have a lot of bookshelves and shelves to style. And at the time, I had no clue really how to do that aesthetically. So I did some of my own research. I looked on Pinterest and kind of played around. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you tips on how I style our bookshelves. So tip number one is figure out how you really want these to function for your family. Don't let them just be a place that catches a bunch of decor to look at, but how do you really want these to function for your family? And I'll give you examples of how they function for our family. So as far as functioning for our family, we have, most of it is open shelving, but there are two, one on each side where there are some doors. I don't use that as just storage for random things in our house, but they actually function. They are opened and used every day, multiple times a day. The one particularly behind me houses kind of all the kids' activity stuff that they can do here downstairs. We have board games in there, we have Play-Doh, we have kinetic sand, we have crayons and colored pencils and markers and glue and scissors and coloring books and paper and just things for them to be able to pull out, sit down, play with, clean up, and put back. It's an area that the kids have access to kind of get out their activities. The one on the other side houses homework stuff. So my daughter is now in kindergarten, so when we sit down to do homework, there is kind of a bin I pull out that has the things that she'll need for homework as well as the things that I need to assist her in her homework. There are electronics and iPads and things are actually stored in there and charged in there. So there was a plug behind this unit, so I wanted to make sure that was available. So when we had these built, my brother kind of just cut out a square where the plugs were so that we are able to access them. So every time that the kids need to use their iPads, they go in there, they take them out. When they're done, they put them back, plug them in to be charged. I do have one shelf where I have some decor items that I pull out to do these shelves, but I've also made it a point not to have an abundance of decor items to use for the shelf. What I mainly use is there. I may have some other things I pull out, but what I have is what I have, and anytime that I really do change them out dramatically, it's usually for the holidays. Some other ways that I make sure these function for us. One, you'll see the shelf next to me here, kind of a hodgepodge of books. These are all the kids' books, not all their books. The books that are downstairs for them to read are right here so that they can access and put them back. They're at their height. We can read as a family. So there is a shelf for them. Below that, there are two baskets. One houses all the baby diapers and her wipes, and the one below that houses all of the baby toys. So I have another basket, kind of a bigger basket that sits up on a shelf over here, and that one really functioned a lot for us this summer. This summer we had some chore charts, and we really focused on breaking bad habits and instilling some good habits in the kids. This big basket actually housed all of the items for their treasure box, so at the end of the night, when we went to sit down and went through their day and their chore chart, they knew if they got something, they pulled down that basket and they got to pick something from their treasure box. Another way that these function for us, not necessarily, I guess, function as a need, but I do house family pictures. I aesthetically am not one to have a gallery wall of family pictures or a bunch of family pictures going up the stairs. I like to keep our family pictures more kind of artsy looking. That's kind of displayed there in our entryway, but also kind of just popped around, and I'm very strategic on the pictures that I picked. So for instance, on one of our shelves, I have a picture of my daughter and her graduation cap and my son's school picture, and I figured those will just always have their school pictures. So my daughter's taking school pictures this week. When I get those pictures, I'll replace that with her school picture. So those will always kind of be updated with their school pictures, and then obviously when Harper goes to school, she'll have a place as well. One of the frames on our shelf has a picture of just the kids, all three of them, last family shoot, and then another frame that I have has our family pictures, which actually mine and Andrew's heads are cut off. I just thought that was a really cool artsy picture, and so I framed that, and that sits on one of our shelves. I also, for my kids, memorabilia, baby books type of things. I actually do Shutterfly books for my kids. I have committed to doing the first 5 years of their life in Shutterfly books. When those books are printed, I kind of wanted to make it a point not to shove them somewhere. I wanted to be able to display them and then people be able to look at them. So those are displayed behind me. I don't know if it's in the shop, but right behind me back here, there's 2 bicycle bookends and they're shoved in there. And then as we get more, so eventually there's going to be 15 of those sitting up there. Let's get down to the aesthetics of the bookshelf. So tip number 2, when styling your bookshelves, look at layers, how you layer things. Now there's a couple of ways that you can layer things. You can layer things as far as depth, stuff that can sit farther back on that shelf and some stuff that can sit in front of that shelf. And this can be done with books, picture frames, decor items. Really kind of take a visual look at how we can use some depth and layering in some of those items. A second way to layer is probably a way that you thought of, just layering things on top of each other. So a favorite way that I do that is just lay a book down and I can put something on top of that book. And then a third way that you can look at layering is height. When you're putting things together, really take a visual look at how your height is working. You don't want everything to be the same height. So you want something tall, something shorter next to it, maybe a tall item in the middle, some shorter things next to it, but you don't want everything to kind of be the same height. So when it comes to layering, look at the depth of how you're layering things, layer things on top of each other, and how the height is looking on each shelf. Third tip I have when it comes to styling your bookshelf is look at textures. So throughout my bookshelves, I have like books on there, obviously. So I have the use of metals throughout my bookshelf when it comes to some of the lanterns, the signs that I have on there, and some of the little decor pieces. And then I also throw in some baskets on there. So each shelf area has a couple of baskets on there as well. So mix up some of the textures that you use throughout. I also throw in some plants in there, so that brings some of the greenery and some more of life to the bookshelves. Look at different ways that you can incorporate texture throughout styling the bookshelves. Tip 4 is take a look at kind of the color groupings that you are using throughout. You want it to still feel somewhat cohesive. So a lot of my decor is probably more on the neutral side, but when I originally put together, like say one of the bookshelves, I had all 3 of my baskets on one side. So when I took a step back and looked at it, there was very heavy, not only in the texture of the baskets, but also that color, that warm, neutral color was all on one side, and so then I ended up moving some of the baskets to the other side, so that really balanced out the color and also the texture in the bookshelf. Also on one of my bookshelves, you'll see that there's that warm natural tan color coming from a basket, and if you go diagonal up from that, there's also some warm tan colors coming from the lettering board and the calendar that I have. So the colors aren't right next to each other or right above each other. There's kind of like this diagonal way that we have styled that kind of spreads that out. The same thing you'll see with the lanterns. I have one lantern and then another, I guess it's kind of a lantern. It's like this metal piece with this glass bottle. I actually picked it up from Magnolia in Texas when I went there and visited, but those aren't right next to each other or right above each other. They're kind of diagonal from each other, and that just visually kind of spreads things out. So if you have like items in colors or in items, don't put them right next to each other or right above each other. Kind of look at the zigzag diagonal approach when you're decorating things or styling your bookshelf. Kind of zigzag things, so if you have books here, you can have books diagonal from that, or the lanterns kind of diagonal from each other. You don't want them right next to each other, right on top of each other, or right next to each other. A last tip that I have for you is to try to find some ways to make it cohesive without it being so matchy-matchy. So an example of that is that I have these 2 bookshelves. They're not next to each other, but they are on the same wall. One way that I have kind of made it cohesive and pulled them together is at the very top of both bookshelves is filled with books. At first they were turned the right way around, but recently I turned them the other way around because I just wanted that more muted, natural look. But the whole top has books, and then also the smaller portions on the top both have little houses. Those don't change. Those stay the same throughout the entire year, the entire season, and that is just one way I kind of have pulled the bookshelves together and made them a little bit more cohesive when everything else below them kind of changes up seasonally. I hope this video helped you guys when it comes to styling your bookshelves. It does seem overwhelming at first, but once you kind of master that, it is so much fun. And when you have some of these bigger shelves or big statements of your home, it's really important to know exactly how to style those, and it will really change the look of your home. So I hope this video helped you guys. If you liked videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below on what was one of your favorite tips that might help you when it comes to styling your bookshelves. And if you guys are new here, I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel. I do 2 videos a week, one on design related and one on just lifestyle, mommy, lifestyle stuff. So if that is something that interests you, I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.